If you have ever eaten a strawberry just plucked from the earth, still warm from the sun, you're gonna know exactly what I'm talking about. It can be a revelation. I am not talking about those gorgeous, beautiful, sexy on the outside strawberries you see in the store. They're so red, they're so beautiful, but they taste like nothing. They're just nothing in there. They're shadows of strawberries. They're shells of strawberries. They're strawberry-like things, not strawberries. Delicious. The reason I'm talking about strawberries, the Sagittarius full moon on June 3rd or 4th, depending on your location, 2023, is called the strawberry full moon. Before plants were manipulated into producing fruits out of season, with their looks being the main prime directive, not flavor or taste, this was the time when natural strawberries were ripening. Sagittarius is a sign of searching for something. It's the quest. It's an idea. It's a philosophy to chase. It encompasses things that give your life its true meaning. That's what your Sagittarius part of your life is. A strawberry with no flavor, no matter how beautiful it is, has no true meaning. There's no purpose to a strawberry without flavor. When you get a hold of just a bunch of random information, is it valuable? It's information, yeah, sure, but it has no higher thread of significance. This particular full moon in Sagittarius in 2023 is interesting because it comes at a time when new ideas are ripening. It's a paradigm shift about to occur. Full moons are illuminations, and the energy of Sagittarius is an interaction with broader ideas. It's philosophy, it's the interplay between you, yourself, and your interaction with the expansive, unfamiliar. In a full moon, astronomically, like actually the stuff in the sky, the moon and the sun line up in what's called an opposition. So it means that they're facing each other, metaphorically eye to eye, from across the great zodiac round table of the ecliptic. It means that they're on the same degree of what could be called opposite signs. However, the moon opposing the sun is unlike other planetary oppositions. Those are typically harder to integrate into life because this moon-sun opposition is a reflection. It's reflecting back the light of the sun. The moon doesn't have any way to illuminate itself, right? So when the moon is fully reflecting back the sun, the moon is showing all of itself. It's the only time we can see every last sliver of the moon in its full glory at the same time. Any full moon is a time where opposites can integrate. It's a moment where binary pairs, where duality can be seen as it really is. These two things are not actually different. They're in an interflow of the same energy that just happens to be on opposite poles. Usually in the dark, we don't get to see anything. But when it's a full moon, we're gifted with this translated, slightly muted message of whatever the sun is giving us, okay? This time around, the sun in June of 2023 is in Gemini, and the messages are really strong. Gemini represents cerebral, rational thought. Gemini is communicative drives. It's an information hound. It's the reporter. And the moon is reflecting over coming in from Sagittarius. It's pulling that Gemini information into a gravity field in order to create some higher meaning, this greater purpose. The news cycle right now is very shadow Gemini, if you ask me. It's turned into this like dopamine / cortisol stress ball of phony sensationalism, of manipulation. That's just my personal opinion. Feel free to disagree. And Sagittarius has a shadow side too, right? Sagittarius stuff can be really like blowhard energy. Sagittarius without the Gemini information that's careful is that person you do not want to sit next to at a dinner party. That's the guy or the girl that thinks they know everything. They have an opinion that they think is true about everything. But the logic is baseless. The answers are meaningless. It's just a waste of your time to sit there and listen to them, and they're just blasting out hot air. This strawberry full moon is a mutable cerebral moon. Very smart moon. Sagittarius and Gemini are both what are called mutable signs in astrology. That just means that they're very adaptable. They're correlated with spiralic? I don't know, tomato, spirals, right? Energy patterns. The mutable interplay between Gemini's information and Sagittarius's philosophy is what feeds the vast landscape of advanced thought. So, see what I mean? It's smart stuff. To put it another way, when dealing with information, you need to be mutable, you need to be flexible, we need to be open to changes, to additions, to amendments, to new discoveries that are like, being discovered. I don't know. There's so much that we don't know. If we are not mutable in this area of life, of the mind, we're never going to get anywhere. We're not going to grow or learn or change, and that's really important. Let's look at the Sabian symbol for the moon. It's a pretty darn interesting thread to follow, if you ask me. I'm making the video, so obviously it's interesting to me. The Sabian symbol for the moon is coming in at Sagittarius 14, which is the Great Pyramid and the Sphinx. Here's what Rudyard has to say, abbreviated. The Great Pyramid and the Sphinx are witnesses to a tradition, especially for the Western world. The symbol implies that such an archetypal knowledge remains the foundation upon which people's minds can still build solid and valid formulations. What is revealed is the power of spiritual ancestry. Whew. So interesting. The moon is represented by this expansive concept of the Great Pyramids and also the Sphinx. There's so much unknown about these wonders of the world. I was watching this video, what is his name? It's Anthony something. If you know what I'm talking about, tell me. I forget what his name is. It's Anthony something. He's this older gentleman and he's an Egyptologist that none of the actual archaeologists like, because he's changing the paradigm shift. John Anthony something. Oh, it's in there. So when I learned about the theories behind his theories about the actual age of the Sphinx, he based it on geological evidence. The geologists found that the erosion he was studying on the Sphinx was not from sand or wind erosion, but it was from rain. And that means that the base of the Great Sphinx correlates with a time in Egypt when Egypt wasn't a desert, when it was like a rainforest. So to me, in my mind, that opened a whole new reality of potential civilizations and looking at things myself, trying to figure out things not based on the status quo, not based on the paradigm that we're being presented. And the pyramids line up with the stars. This is from an article from Elizabeth Rain. She says, because the ancient Egyptians believed that Duat, the underworld which Osiris ruled over, was where the gods dwelled, they thought they had to replicate it on Earth by creating a sacred landscape. Because Duat was supposedly located where the constellations of Orion and Sirius rise near the sun, and just before it, when the summer solstice dawns, they aligned the three pyramids in Giza Plaza with the three stars of Orion's belt. The lion-headed Sphinx was appropriately the earthly equivalent of the constellation Leo, and the Nile was supposedly to represent the Milky Way. Yeah, even the pyramids were the three different colors of the stars. It's cool. It's cool. If you don't know about it, maybe this would be a good thing to look into for your Sagittarius full moon thing. To add on to that, lately I've, where is it? Oh, aspetta per favore. Okay, so this is another thing. My sweatshirt. To stay on the Egyptian trail, lately I've been listening to an audio version of the Hermetica. This is the physical version that I have of it. The Hermetica, the Lost Wisdom of the Pharaohs, which if you don't know about it yet, it's a collection of writings that are attributed to Thoth. My pronunciation today is... He's a mystical ancient Egyptian sage. He was venerated in Egypt all the way back to 3000 BC, so he goes way back. So when the Greeks got a hold of it, they correlated Thoth with Hermes, their own messenger god. And also that's Mercury, right? But in order for the Egyptian version of Hermes not to get mixed up with the Greek version, they called Thoth Hermes Trismegistus, thrice great Hermes. So if they were in a classroom setting, it would be called Hermes T. Anyway, the reason I'm bringing this up, if you haven't read it or if you don't know about the Hermetica, it's really something you might want to look into. It's quite incredible. It has a lot of astrology in it too. It's really neat. Super neat. Anyway, I want to share something from the Hermetica with you. It is a perfect illustration of what I'm talking about here. It's practical information, which is Hermes, Mercury, Gemini, leading to higher philosophical meaning. Jupiter, Sagittarius. Atum is the name that they give their god, the ultimate god, the energy of the universe. This is the one I'm sharing with you. It's called the hierarchy of creation. Atum creates the cosmic mind. The cosmic mind creates the cosmos. The cosmos creates time. Time creates change. The essence of Atum is primal goodness. The essence of the cosmic mind is permanent sameness. The essence of the cosmos is beautiful order. The essence of time is movement. The essence of change is life. Sneeze. Never mind. The cosmic mind is an image of Atum. The cosmos is an image of the cosmic mind. The sun is an image of the cosmos. Man is an image of the sun. It's like a Russian doll. Russian doll. Anyways, the Hermetica is very cool. So that's all the Egyptian stuff. That's the moon coming in from Sagittarius. So now let's look at the symbol for the sun. Oh, getting hot. Roll up my sleeves. The sun. The sun is coming in from Gemini 14. Bridging a physical space and social distinctions, two people communicate telepathically. From Rudyard, the keynote for this image is the capacity to transcend the limitations of bodily existence. In order to function in the world of material entities, humans need to focus on energies of life in a limited organism and an ego mind that's formed by the pressures of a particular culture and a family background. Yet a time comes when an individual can still transcend the limiting boundaries of culture and ego. How do we do that? That's the question. An effort should be made to enter a realm of consciousness in which the communication from mind to mind can take a more direct form, because the minds then operate within the one mind of humanity. That's beautiful. It's as if two cells in a human body were communicating with each other, perhaps through some kind of invisible nerve channels. So this is a technique of transcendence. That's the information we're getting from the sun. That's Gemini sun info. It's a communion, an increased sensitivity to the feelings of those around us, to the needs of others around us. So how can you take those two ideas and merge them? We've got that Egyptian stuff and we've got telepathy. It's very esoteric today. So how can you take those two and merge them? The informational directive from Gemini is to transcend limitations of the physical through a path of telepathic communication. This to me is empathy most of all. It's paying really deep attention to somebody. It's intentional attention to what they're expressing. And the philosophical meaning that we have coming through Sagittarius is the wisdom of the ancients, perhaps the wisdom texts like the Hermetica of the past. Some people really don't like when astrologers tell personal stories. So if you're one of those people, that's cool, no worries. Fair warning, as my 14-year-old son would say, it's time to dip. That's such a weird thing to say, but it's time to dip. Okay? It's irrelevant if you don't want to hear it. It's cool. I like you just the way you are. But if you do want to hear it, here it goes. Some of you might already know I'm working at a school with children who have some pretty severe special needs. I'm trained as a teacher. I can teach kindergarten through high school and all that jazz. So they pull me out sometime to work in the general education classes, which is like turning on a dime, going from the severe special ed to regular teaching. It's weird. Anyways, last week there were some events that were really overwhelming, and this brought out a reaction in me that I had no control over. I was in tears on my drive home. I was sheerly just overwhelmed. There's a part of me while I was crying driving that I could feel observing the whole thing. It was free from this emotion I was going through. It was compassionate, but it was completely, totally indifferent. It was like, oh, that's an interesting reaction that body personality is having. The human part of me had a lot of emotional pressure and it had to be released somehow. But the observer that was behind it needed no such thing. Absolutely not. I took that moment really seriously and I saw that my emotional response was part of me, right? But it wasn't actually me. I resolved in that moment to just like put on my big girl pants and use an uncomfortable situation to test my attachments, to break down my ego, to embrace discomfort in order to release myself from its power. My theory, if I can detach from my desire for like stability, say, or being respected or whatever, then I gain power. If I'm not attached to a belief that something is beneath me or whatever, then it becomes something that raises me up. I feel like discomfort is the gatekeeper of growth. Gosh, it'd be so easy to quit. It'd be so easy to just dip. But I can't. I won't. And I want to say something else about that and take a moment in gratitude for anyone who is called to that career. If you have a family member, a child, or whatever with severe special needs, I want to just say, God bless you. Thank you for your wellspring of deep patience, for your huge hearts for justice, and for serving those who can't speak up for themselves. I mean, that's... it's a lot. It just makes me so grateful for everything that I have, that the things I don't have to struggle with like they do. Sorry. There's just so many moments in life where we're being brutally tested. I know there are moments in your life when you feel that way. It's hard. There are things that are physically troubling, emotionally troubling, things that happened in the past that are troubling. But the end game is to eventually see discomfort as a gift. Because ultimately, most discomfort is temporary. And even the ones that aren't temporary, it's incredible what people can get used to. It's incredible the ways people recalibrate stronger because of those challenges. So the big question to ask yourself for this Sagittarius strawberry full moon is, what's meaningful to you personally? What's your passion? What do you love? What brings you joy? Even if you're really extremely limited in your time or your resources or in your body, that thing you love is powerful to engage with. It is critical. It's the game changer. It makes life worth every second of struggle. That is your personal meaning. That's your guiding light. That's your philosophy. That's Sagittarius. Get a hold of yourself, girl. Within one day of the full moon, we have a Uranus-Mercury conjunction. I'd love to make another video on it. I don't know if I'll have time, but I have some ideas I'd love to share. But anyway, this is in Taurus on June 4th, 2023. It says, think differently. Don't be afraid to pursue your authentic path, even if it is on a limited basis. Isn't it strange? I mean, I wonder if you have this experience too. I've noticed that the more strained I am with resources or time, the more I go towards my passions and actually get things done. The time that I have left is so precious, and it makes me realize what I want in life. It's the calm in between the storm. I hope you are carving out some time to pursue the things that are meaningful to you in your life. What's meaningful to you? What's important to you personally? For me, I like making these videos. It's a passion for me. I love talking to you about astrophilosophy. I love reading whenever I can. I love music. I love singing. I like to write poetry. What is it for you? Is there flavor in the strawberry of your life? Because believe me, it's really worth pursuing your metaphorical sun-ripened strawberry just plucked from the bush. If you came to the end of this video with me, thank you for your kindness, for the comments that people make. I mean, I don't have as much time right now to respond, but I do read every comment, and I get so much joy from reading what you have to say, from interacting with you. I'm wishing you the most wonderful Sagittarius full moon, Uranus-Mercury conjunction, and I will talk to you next time.